I'm Debbie Godfrey, and this is the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast. In season 2, I'm answering your questions about parenting. So feel free to go to the link in the description and leave me a voice message, and I may answer your question on this podcast. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy today's pep talk.
Hello, this will be a very quick question, Debbie. I was reading through that we shouldn't be forcing children to do anything. And I remembered an example when my son was 2 years old and he had to take antibiotics and we were really struggling and we actually had to just force it down. And I was just thinking, is there any other way to handle a situation like this with a 2-3-year-old who doesn't really understand that he has to take a medicine and he has to take it at the right time?
Yeah, when it comes to their health like that, you can try positive parenting and you can try empowering them and saying, all making deals and, giving them choices. But ultimately, if they don't take it or they don't buy into that, you do force stuff. And I've had situations that are health related with my kids, procedures in the hospital or whatever it is, where you just sit on them and the nurse, gives them a shot or whatever. Like positive parenting goes out the window when their health is there. So
it makes me feel better.
Yeah. I mean, you try your best to do stuff, but ultimately they've got to get whatever it is. And so, it's unfortunate. So I remember one time with Brianna, she had to get some blood drawn. She was only 6, and it's like she was freaking out. And I was like, sweetie, you can sit in my lap. You can sit beside me. You can squeeze my fingers. Anything that you need, but this has to happen. And ultimately, if necessary, the nurses are going to hold you down. So it's up to you. And she was only 6. It's not fair to put her in that situation. But it's like, it's up to you. You can either do this choicefully in some way that will work for you, or they're going to hold you down. And they're going to do this. And that's not positive parenting at all. It's like, I'm doing my best, but ultimately, you're going to get sat on and shot up or, your blood drawn or whatever it was. And, luckily for her in that moment, she chose to just sit in my lap and squeeze my fingers. But that, if that didn't happen, the nurses were going to hold her down. I mean, seriously, and I would have just stood there and cried and allowed it. So, do your best, you guys. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you can't do positive parenting because it's not going to work for some situations. But don't use that as an excuse for everything.
Yeah, obviously, yes. I think this is that there has to be exceptions to the rule, isn't it? Otherwise, there wouldn't be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to today's Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast. If you're into season 2 and you're listening to all these great questions that the parents have and answers and ideas for what to do in all these different situations with your kids, please help us out. Like, share, subscribe, and especially leave us a positive review. All of that helps the podcast grow, and I really appreciate it. Thanks again for being here, and happy parenting.